the sun rises across Uganda, a new dawn in luxury living awakens. Solana Lifestyle and Residences is Uganda's newest, most prestigious and award-winning lifestyle destination, an address for those who dream differently. At Solana, you're close enough to the hustle of the city, but far enough to come home to a sanctuary of smart living. Join a community of like-minded individuals where everything is taken care of and safety and security come standard, where each community has a clubhouse, play area, pool, and other incredible features. Let an oasis of bicycle tracks and so much more. Whether you're upscaling or settling down, buying a first home or investing,
Solana has it all. Uganda is
as usual. The next 2 hours are going to be class, and class is going to be as usual. Class will take those 2 hours, and let us embrace us. Happened, and I need to keep reminding you to just introduction. But one of the things I found out as we are doing this is actually living long, as you will see on the presentation. While we you will forgive me some of this technology we're getting used to, but we'll get there. And getting to make this work in this particular village, I am not that much accustomed, but let's get there. Let me get a little bit of these notes out of the way, then I can hand you back to the class teachers seated and waiting for this. One of the things that we found out is we are living and living longer. If you made it through last year and you are in this year, just understand you are living longer, and you need to start planning for that long life. What is it that you are doing? We are going to ask those questions all over the year. If these guys are kind enough to go to the next slide, you will get to find out that as we live longer, we need to plan for long life. As we ask God every morning, we wake up and say, God, I need to live longer. I need to live longer. What are you doing? What is it that you are doing to plan for that long life? Because let me tell you, some people have been saying, I'm going to die next year. I'm going to die this year. I'm going to die. But they have not died. You need to plan. Long life is a reality. You're going to have a long life. And you might even have longer. You might have longer in your retirement than in your workplace. So what is it that you have done? What is it you have done? As NSSF, we do this financial literacy series to have that conversation. What is it that you can do while you are still working to prepare for your place when you are not working? And we shall bring you quite a number of people all throughout the year. We shall have these discussions every last Friday of the month to just have this discussion. Today we have a very powerful panel, and we are going to talk about early retirement. If the back office team is happy to share with me the second and last, we want to do these slides quite quickly so that I can hand you over. These guys are waiting for you. Kindly, if you are, please go on. I just needed to give you these particular pointers, then I can hand you over. 90% of the Ugandans are actually living in lack. They lack a pension scheme. 90% of us. 90% of. Now, for those of you who have a pension scheme, well and good. But is it adequate? Those questions we are going to keep asking ourselves. I want you to, as you are right there, ask yourself those questions. There's quite another statistic. If this back office team is kind enough, we need to let these people go. Those are statistics of our balances at NSSF, and 83% of our membership, 83% of our membership has a balance less than 10 million. Ladies and gentlemen, most times you are told when needing money for school fees, and your first thought is, if NSSF could give me my money. They ask you for salt, if NSSF could give me my money. But your balance at NSSF is not as healthy as we think. It's not as adequate for your old age, but yet you are thinking about it right now. What are the things we are going to do? I'm going to ask quite a lot of questions because I have a number of teachers that are going to be taking us through what we can do all through the year. And again, our objective as NSSF has not changed. We need to have a financially empowered membership. We need to have a membership that has options. We need to have a membership where we do not say that after 2 years they have lost all their money. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the reason we do this financial literacy program every month, so that our members can have options. I am glad that as NSSF, we created an option for our members. We have the Smart Life, and we shall have someone speak about the Smart Life as we go on. If you are kind enough, wealth cycle. Allow me to speak about this wealth cycle, because before I get into, have I said that I'm in the Solana village? I'm going to get into one of those houses. You might not own it, but you get to get into it. So the wealth cycle is about getting money. It's about keeping money. It's about growing money, then sustaining money. Then you can start eating money. I need you to start asking yourself, how are you participating in this wealth cycle? If Shadrach is kind enough, he will be able to show you that on the screen, that we always get money. All of us get money. If you're an NSSF member, you get money. You get money. If you're an employee somewhere, you're getting money. But are you keeping some money? Are you growing? The money you have kept, are you growing it? Is it growing? Have you kept it in a place where it grows? Because it is money growing that we can talk about sustainability. That money that grows can now be sustained. It can sustain you in your life, in your old age. And when you have money that is being sustained, then you have earned the license to eat money. Ladies and gentlemen, in this wealth cycle, most of us have the get money and eat money part. And that's how we participate. And you no wonder every time you're asking yourself, where did my money go? Because you got it and you ate it. As I finalize, and I'm about to go away, I need to give you my 3 pointers for that. I always give 2 or 3 pointers. Number 1, and I call it 1P. For this year, plan. Start picturing. Paint your success. What does success look like for you? What is it that you want to be at the end of the year? What is it that you want to be at the end of the week? What is it that you want to see at the end of this day? Because when you start picturing, making that picture, when you start, it will draw you into planning for that picture. When you start planning, if you don't plan, I need you to understand that you are planning to fail. Even not planning is a plan, but which plan is it? Picture, plan, paint. Number 2, if Shadrach is kind enough. Number 2, I call it R. It's either results or reasons. This year you either have results. If you find yourself laboring to explain what you have done throughout the year, most likely you have no results. When you have results, you do not have to have all the reasons of, yes, there was this, then the rain was too much, then the economy, then we had elections. No, we are looking for results. The world looks for results. But while you are looking for those results, please enjoy the process. Number 3, these are my 3 pointers. Then I can hand over to the team where I get to be called Sir Headmaster. Sir, choose your company. In this year, choose your company. Who is it that you are hanging out? Who is it that you need to cut out of your life? Do you know there are some people that you've had in your life and maybe they are not worth continuing to have? I'm not saying kill them, but I'm saying watch the time you spend with them. Who are they? Are they telling you what you can do? Are they telling you what they can, how they can support you? Are they the ones, those people, are they the ones offering help, or they are always the ones asking you to give them help? Ask yourself, who is my company? What do I need to have? Because in these people, there are those people who are just taking away. They will never give. But depending on your objective, know who you need to keep. And 4, business versus business. You can be busy, but you are not in business. You are doing so many things, but hardly working. You need to know who is keeping you busy. Is that person the one who is keeping you busy, is it keeping you in business, or they are just keeping you busy? There is a difference between a business and an occupation. And I need you to start thinking about those as we get into this year. What are those things that are keeping me busy? Are they giving me business, or they are just keeping me busy? Ladies and gentlemen, we can talk and talk and talk. Mine is to introduce, and I told you, mine is to always talk. And when I get talking, I get paid. But you, and I can tell you that you and you cannot get paid by just talking and saying the things that I've been saying. The only thing that gets you paid is when you get into action. Because at NSSF, we have always believed that action changes things. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you a happy new year, and I want to celebrate you for having come to this year. But right now, let's get our class ready. And to do our class today, we have Canary Mugume. Canary Mugume has a panel waiting. And I have already warned Canary that Headmaster he has referred to with Sir and then Sir at the end. So Canary, I want to hand over to you, and I want to hear you say those words before. Unless if you don't say them, I'll pull back the microphone. Canary, the class is ready to learn.
Sir, Headmaster, sir.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Where did you get those words?
No. They are with age comes wisdom. Back to you. The class is ready for you, and we are happy to receive you.
Thank you very much. Today we're going to be talking about financial security. Now, to begin with, I just asked AI, ChatGPT, what is financial security? We'll learn it means having a stable income, manageable debt. Doesn't say that you don't have to have debt, but manageable debt, savings for emergencies, and investments for future growth. But to put all that into perspective here, joining me on the panel this morning is Barbara Teddy Arimi, who is the head of marketing and corporate affairs at the National Social Security Fund. Barbara has over about 20 years of experience gathered in the financial sector, 17 of which she has spent in managerial and governance roles, and she's now a seasoned marketer. Good to have you on the panel.
Thank you, Canary.
And also joining me on the panel is Dr. Ian Clark, who is an Irish-Ugandan physician, entrepreneur, retired politician. He's the owner and executive chairman of the Clark Group and founder of International Medical Group. He has extensive experience in establishing indigenous startup businesses and bringing them to corporate level. Good to have you on the panel, Dr. Clark.
Thank you.
All right, let me begin with you, Dr. Clark. What is financial security to you? What ChatGPT has just defined for me is, like having disposable income to do anything, handle emergencies, cater for unexpected.
I mean, a lot of people, let's face it, in Uganda live hand to mouth. And hand to mouth, by that I mean they have maybe enough money for this week. They don't even know where their money for next week is coming from. So that's the reality of the situation. And actually, the organisation NSSF has been the organisation in Uganda which has tried to do something about planning for people's future. And I think that, that it's now recognised. I mean, that's why it's grown so much over the last 10 years. It's now recognised that saving with NSSF is a good thing for the individual, because you have, if somebody's employed, obviously they put in their 5%,
Yes.
and the employer puts in 10%.
Yes.
And so that's running. So kudos to NSSF for that, and I wasn't paid for this either, by the way. In terms
That's
of that providing planning for the future. But one of the issues we have is people get that money at age 55. They can take it at 55, which is quite early actually, compared to other countries. Sometimes where you don't get it till 55 or 60, and then it seems to go. It's gone. It's gone. So I think that's one of the issues that we should be addressing. In that, your people are planning. NSSF is there for that, and it's been successful to build up the fund and to be able to make payouts. Somebody told me it was the biggest in East Africa or something.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Which I think is very good. But then the concern and the reason that they have some of these webinars is yes, but if you're giving people a lump sum when they come to this age, and within 2 years you can't find it, there's something very wrong in the way people are planning. Yeah.
All right. I posted about the webinar about a week ago, and someone, I think it was about my age, maybe 30 or slightly close to 30, said, I want my NSSF money. We'll talk about that a bit, but that means that they have it in their mind, at least there's some money
Yeah.
that will get to them in retirement age. But before we get it to you, Barbara, what sort of businesses are you involved in, and what inspired you to get into those particular businesses?
You know, I have to say it was never about, for me, it wasn't about financial security, because I am a risk taker. An entrepreneur has to be a risk taker. For me, it was more about, let me call it purposefulness, you know, to do stuff that I believed in, to do stuff that would have an impact on people and on society, and to do stuff that at the end of it, I can feel like, you know, this is something that I can be proud of. And when you're doing businesses like that, where the first thought is not how much money can I make, often they're not as profitable as maybe someone who's really good in finance and planning, like you, Barbara, and can make a lot of money from it. But having said that, over my life, then I've had great satisfaction then in terms of the impact of the business, because it's not just, now we're talking about business now, I'm not really just talking about financial security. It's in a business, you have different returns. You have the social impact you can have. You have the impact on people's lives. We were talking earlier about women. Yes. I've been able to employ a lot of women, and have many, you know, long-term success with that, in terms of where those women have been able to progress in their career. And I've been able to impact in different areas. So that to me, the impact has been more important than the financial returns. However, you can't have an impact if your business goes bust.
Right.
So you have to, you know, you have to have both. You have to have both. Yeah.
But let's face it, of course, the money is also important.
The money is extremely important, because the business won't go otherwise. It's not like a government thing, you know, and you'll get bailed out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Barbara, for your 20 years of experience in being a marketer, what is the most valuable financial lesson that you've learned in this career of yours?
That's a very good question. Well, first of all, what I have learned is that my job is my business. In the sense that listening to ear, to be is when you have actually the ability to multiply what you're saving. So that it's not just that you're saving and you can meet your medium-term or long-term goals, but then this other money of yours is also now multiplying and making money for you. That is the ideal place to be. So that is really what I have learned over the years. My employment, my job is my business, and I must guard this money jealously and ensure it gives me a return at the end of the day.
For people who are employed, sometimes they look at their income as limited. But how can you, as an individual, develop and sustain a habit of saving? Because it's not that you are going to have sufficient money, which is financial security we're talking about, but at the end of the month, first of all, many people wait for the money at the end of the month. It's not like it's coming in every day, but then they also have to save. At the end of the day, bills are also waiting for them. How do you sustain a habit of saving?
So saving is really a component of two things. First of all, what you get in, that is your income, and then how you manage it.
Discipline.
Exactly. So oftentimes it doesn't mean that you actually have to save from a point of plenty. It doesn't mean that you actually have a lot of money when you save. You just have to ensure that what I usually do, really from a personal point of view, is to write down all my expenses. I just write down my wish list, you know, and then I compare that wish list with what is coming in, because I have to have a saving goal, you know. So assuming my income is 1 million shillings a month, like we said, assuming it's 1 million shillings a month, my saving goal should ideally be at least 20% minimum, you know. Then I also have to have an investment goal of at least 10% of what is coming in. Yeah? Of course, I know that the tax man is also going to take 30%.
Spend a significant proportion of their salary. We talked earlier about, come mid-January, and you said, no, it's not mid-January. First week of January, everybody's broke because they've already gone through their December salary a long time ago. So there's a mentality in Uganda which makes people free, but broke.
Yeah.
And there's very few people, I guarantee, do the 30%.
Yes.
Very few.
And I think
but
that's what
in
we're
other
trying
societies, they're forced to, by
Yes.
virtue of because if you live in London and you come halfway through the month, you're not going to go to your neighbour or your whatever and say, oh, borrow me this,
It's not the same as it is here. But have you made financial mistakes?
All the time. All the time, man. You don't know the amount of financial mistakes.
So looking back, what is that one financial mistake you made early on while starting to do business, and did it in any way shape your approach on money management?
This webinar is not long enough to go into for all my financial mistakes. I think one of the things, I started a business early. I mean, I'm a medical doctor, and actually even before I came to Uganda, I started a business. The mistake I made in the business, it was a business mistake. I was overtrading. So I ran out of money, to maintain the thing, and then I had to cut back, which is quite painful. I mean, I got out of it and was able to sell that business and then come to Uganda. But I've made so many mistakes. They say you learn from your mistakes. Some people say you never learn from your mistakes. You do learn from your mistakes. So some of the stuff that I have learned in business, it's been from mistakes I've made in the past. But I would say, since the focus is on planning for the future, and Barbara's given very good advice as to how people should do it, and I'm just pointing out that people are not doing it. That you have to be disciplined to do that.
Yes, you do.
You have to be disciplined,
Yes.
and you have to put the long term before the short term.
Yeah.
So I would say in financial planning, often I've put all my money into my businesses, and so I've left myself short of cash, for my sort of personal needs and stuff like that. I suppose it's better, Warren Buffett would say, you prioritize what you can get return on investment as opposed to buying a new car, which is why he still lives in the same house he's always lived in and has a second-hand car. But at the same time, I think that when you're thinking about...
But Ian, that's not the kind of discipline I would go for. That's too much.
Warren Buffett...
Just get a nice car.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
earned this money,
Yes,
get a nice car. So,
but a nice car is a depreciating asset.
It's
a depreciating asset.
But you've worked for it.
I see. No, I don't agree. I see all
to
these
reward yourself.
nice Range Rovers and all that. And I've had a Range Rover, and my cars are okay. but at the same time, don't put your money into a depreciating asset. Buy a house or something that it will appreciate, a piece of land or whatever. But I don't mean you have to run around in a jalopy, but you don't need to have the latest, flashiest. This whole thing that
which is going to drain you.
Huh?
Which is going to drain you, even by its consumption. But
by its consumption.
Yeah.
But if you can afford it, actually, I come from a different school of thought. If you can afford it, I mean, if your buckets are working, you have some money for tomorrow, you have some money for today, and you have an investment that is running. The case that you shared, Warren Buffett, he could afford anything.
Oh, he can buy anything. The guys is
personally, if I can afford it, I would love to have it.
You're not going to wait until you're 90.
I will not wait.
I think that's
if
fine.
I can afford it, I go for it.
But if you're talking only financial return,
yes,
only
in terms of financial, but there's some kind of reward, self-reward, because when you're working hard, you need to reward yourself.
All right.
So and what are the avenues of rewarding yourself?
From all these mistakes that you've made and continue to do, like you said, you've built wealth. How does one build wealth? Not just for themselves, but even for future generations? Your family and the family after your family.
Well, I think the advice I would probably give now, if somebody has some money, would be to come into your buckets. Okay, take some of it probably and put it into some sort of safe return.
Yeah.
I mean, people, NSSF gives a good return,
Yes.
but people can put their money into bonds and,
Yes.
and various financial instruments, which, with the shilling being steady and even
Yes.
appreciating a little bit, that's very easy ways and safe ways to increase your money.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be against that at all. And I think people who do that, if they have some money and they don't know what to do with it, well, for goodness sake, put it into an instrument that's going to give them, because you can get 10 or 11% return here, which you will not get in a Western country. You will not get that on a hard currency. And because the currency's been stable for like 5 years, and you keep watching, the financial reports. These people like Stanbic and so on will give you the outlooks and stuff like that. So I would say putting a bit of money into that is good. And then your question was how to build wealth. I think what I have done is I've tended to build businesses that then become worth something. So when in the process of that, you may not have much money because you're building that business up. But I built up the business. I've done that a few times. I built up the business, say, for example, International Hospital and all the other surrounding businesses with that. And of course I was getting a salary, but I wasn't living it up. I had a nice car and I was okay. I feel like if your needs are met, and some people are frugal and some people are more spendthrift. What I'm against is people who get money and then they have to flash it. They have to show that I have
the money.
Car. Somebody told me about some coffee traders who were doing well, and the next thing they'd spent, what is it? How much do you spend on one of those VXs? $100,000 or something? They're driving a VX. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's not a good investment. So you can invest it in your business.
So it's more than just showing to the people that you have the money, as opposed to rewarding yourself. And if you reward yourself, transport to school or to work, even needs of wanting to own a car, how do you then advise them to embrace financial planning?
So now, like there are things which cut across all generations, like money. You see, money, debt, these are things that cut across, and the principles remain the same, So even for a younger person, and I have quite a number around me, I have nephews, nieces, I always encourage them, if you want something, you need to save up for it. If you want to buy a toy, you need to save up for it, you see.
You're not going to win a lottery.
You're not going to, you can't just walk into one of these stores and then you say you want a toy and the toy is going for 200,000 and in your piggy bank you have 5,000. Are you seeing? So usually the way I encourage the young people is save up for something, and my motivation, that young person buys a car. Okay, let's think maybe they'll go for a RAV4 or a Vitz. Do you know how much that is? About 24 million minimum from the bond. Now they take a car loan, it's a 2-year loan. Probably the rate is about, salary loan maybe about 20% per annum. What is this person going to remain with?
Very little income.
And because they have to continue to fuel the car and service it. So when you're a young person out there, you need to choose your investment assets very wisely.
Right.
Accumulate your money, open a saving account because you need something for the short term. Your bank can help you accumulate some money. You can also explore the things that actually are liabilities.
Okay.
I want to make a general point on what Barbara's been saying. Your question was about young people.
Yeah.
We build our habits in life. We starting young. You can build bad habits or good habits.
Yes.
Now she's given us the ideal of the habit of saving and 30% and so on and so forth, which I think that most young people in Uganda, I'd like to know the percentage that does that, but it would be very small percentage is from what I have interacted and I've seen. But let me take the example of exercise. because obviously I'm a doctor and I'm coming from a health point of view as well. As you get older, by the way, you need your health to enjoy your wealth.
Yes.
Yeah. So your future financial planning should also involve planning your health, not just your health care, which you can do through insurance,
Yes.
but also actually to stay healthy. And to stay healthy, you need to develop the habits when you're young. If I mean, no, it must be 10 million. No, it's kind of money. Now, that's all people think of. But that's not the important thing when you're young. You're talking about financial planning.
Yes.
You know what's most important when you're young, when you're your age and younger? It's actually the learnings that you get. It's actually the self-improvement that you don't, you can earn 5 million. You're talking about someone who gets 5 million. I'm doing very well at 5 million. If that person becomes indispensable to the company because they've grown, then, they'll go to 10 million, 20 million, $10,000 or whatever, because of their self-improvement. And I think that, this idea, the investment in yourself, we were talking financial planning, I'm saying you need to plan for your health.
Yes.
And you need to plan for your self-improvement.
Yes.
So that, and if you're just thinking money, I've seen people who left a job which is paying less. They jump to another job because this is paying more. In the second job they go to, they really regret it because in the first job they were growing, even though they were earning less money.
Yeah.
And the second job they're just there.
Yeah.
And it's not, and so I think that developing these habits when you're young, whether it's in health or in financial planning and self-improvement and learning, is you'll find all these guys who are the billionaires in the tech sector and so tech section and so on, very keen on the whole idea that you can use this time to learn more and with what you learn then you can make money.
Right. For salary earners, what advice would you give them, especially in managing day-to-day expenses? You have transport, you have to eat, you have rent, you have all these things, you have
budget.
You have some money to send to your girlfriend.
Yes.
You have some money to send to your girlfriend.
Okay.
How do you manage all
Cut
that?
out the girlfriend first of all.
How do you manage that with setting financial goals? You have this goal, maybe owning an apartment or getting a mortgage or buying a car at some point, or even starting a farm. But then you have these daily expenses. How should one juggle that?
So you have to find a way of writing down your goals and visualizing it so that you begin to see it. It's very interesting the way the human brain works. When you begin to visualize something, you can actually actualize it. And I know it happens because I've seen it several times, even in my life. When I visualize it, I actually work towards it. I'll give you an example that is actually possible. About 6 years ago, I wanted to buy an apartment and I visualized it. I went, I saw the apartment, but I couldn't afford it. I could not even afford to actually service the mortgage on that apartment. So I started a saving journey, I began to put some money away. And 5 years down the road, I was able to afford 30%, paid off 30% of the apartment, and now I was able to get a mortgage for the rest of the money. And I could easily afford now to pay that off. So that doesn't mean that I don't have all these other expenses, but it starts with visualizing what you want. If you want, you visualize it, see it, go check it out, imagine yourself there, aspire, and then work towards it. Of course, that just means that you just have to have some discipline. When you put aside that money, just write it off. Imagine that it's not there.
Don't run to eat again.
Yes. Just even if something comes up, work within these other reserves that you have, And that's why I was saying that everyone needs to have, you mentioned goals, Canary. we have short-term goals. We made resolutions this year. We have short-term goals this year. But when someone sits down with you and they say, Canary, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And not just from the social side, but possibly from the financial side, you know, in terms of your career, you'll realize that actually all these are your medium, long-term goals. And these things need money. So you create those buckets, work towards them, save towards them, sacrifice. You know, sometimes you might want to go on a holiday, you know, probably to Dubai or something, or maybe, you know, to the US or wherever it is. And you'll find that, yeah, taking a rest is good, but you can weigh the options. You don't need to exactly now say, I've done away with the holiday. How about staying at your home for a change? You take leave and stay home without traveling because you have a goal, you see. And so if you can actually make some sacrifices in the short term,
That's
you can be able to achieve your long-term goal.
That's a pretty
so that's the principle.
That's an interesting
that's a principle that I use.
Yeah. So many principles. Well, we are still talking about financial planning. The beauty in planning today, the beauty in understanding how financial literacy is an asset to you, the beauty in understanding that if you have financial goals, you need to work towards them, the beauty in saving, and how, of course, you're able to achieve your goals. Dr. Clark, and we have a number of questions here. Susan Mawemuko says, what do you do if you've set financial goals and you run out of the job?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
You set financial goals. Set financial goals before you even achieve them. You run out of the job.
Oh, you get you lose your job.
Yeah, you get laid off, or you get fired, or
obviously you have to reposition yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I add to that?
Please. Yeah.
So one time when I just joined banking, you know, that was in 2004, as a marketing officer. During induction, they told us that when you're in banking, you need to always imagine that you might lose your job. You have to start with the end in mind, because the risks associated with the roles that sometimes people play. So I actually took that literally and began to talk to a few people. And I discovered actually interesting conversations. Some people actually start to save, you know, so that in the event they lost their job, they actually have maybe 6 months income. As in, they have the equivalent of their salary, because they say when you have that salary that you've saved for 6 months, you can. So in other words, it's not that you actually abort, because if you lose your job, worst case scenario, someone might lose their job after 6 months, right? And I don't know when the person who asked the question lost their job, but I'm assuming that probably they had the discipline to put aside something while they had the job. And then now you can actually use that you set aside, you know, without my job. And she hasn't been working for long, but she decided to save up and do A and B. And she decided she's not buying a car. And she's basically in your age group, Canary. So, and I would say someone in their late 20s, 30, you know, would not be thinking that way. But it's possible to think that way, that you can actually sacrifice some gratification now and put it in tangible things and work your way out of a job so that you don't need a job, you know. You can survive without a job, and it's very possible.
An anonymous attendee says, I think in Uganda saving is just prolonging of expenditure. Our economy is too poor. I've tried investing in some small businesses, but they have all failed. How can you help me? You talk about financial discipline, but there are necessities we all can't avoid to spend on. Give me some business investment ideas that have less risk in Uganda.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm sympathetic to people who try to start small businesses, because there are there's so much competition, and because the economy is not exactly buoyant. I got a figure recently that if our growth rate is 5 or 6%, about 70% of that's in the construction industry, and in some other businesses they're actually, losing money.
Yeah.
In some other sectors, like like if you invest in Uganda in certain businesses, if you invest $1, you'll get 70 cents return because the productivity is very low. So we're not facing a very buoyant environment at the present time. It's not that it sounds okay if you have a 5% growth rate, but in actual fact, on the ground, it's not that great. So it is difficult for people in terms of small businesses, because if there's one person who's doing chapatis, there's there's so many people. And we say we're very good entrepreneurs. When I go out jogging in the morning, I meet the ladies and guys as well, setting up their stands on the pavement to sell breakfast, to sell samosas or chapatis or a Rolex or whatever. And I have a great admiration for such people because they're small businesses.
Yeah.
But those small businesses are done because those people couldn't, if they got a paid employment, they would do that. And interestingly enough, probably more women are doing that than men.
Yeah.
And I take my hat off to such people, because those businesses, they at least bring them something. There's a young guy, when I start off jogging, there's a young guy down in Mianga, and he's there every morning with his plastic bucket with samosas.
Yeah.
And presumably he makes, I don't know, 10,000 shillings, 20,000 shillings. I don't know how much he makes, so much. These samosas are quite cheap. But so I do, that a lot. That's an important part of our economy. And of course the boat riders that are in that same sort of category as well. But looking at businesses that would be more formal that one could start, there's a lady I know who started. She's got a good sense of fashion, and she is actually getting clothes from we know. And now a lot of the clothes that come in, there's a lot of controversy about second-hand clothes and stuff like that, but I don't see how we can do without second-hand clothes in Uganda, especially up country, where people just, they buy these clothes for almost nothing. Yeah. And I don't think they can. Anyway. So it's a whole other thing. Anyway, this lady gets this stuff. She's a good eye to fashion. She refurbishes it. A lot of the stuff is labels, So you're finding that the fashion houses, their end of season stuff ends up in wherever it is, a Wino or somewhere. Picks that stuff up, refurbishes it then, and then sells it online. Puts it on a model, and then the orders come in. Yeah. And she's really developing that, with her own sort of brand, and she's just got an eye for it. And she's doing a few million a month on that, and I'm kind of like, because for me, I can never do that business. I have no eye for it. And she can take maybe a dress or something and then alter it just a little bit. It's my long dress, she makes it a short dress or whatever, and she, her sister would sometimes just model quickly. I think it's on. She goes on all the social platforms. Oh. And then so somebody does that. She has no expenses really, because she lives at home. She just has the expense going and getting this thing. She keeps her money aside. She's growing her business. She's developing a brand. So that was a totally new one to me, but it's a small business that someone can develop, and if they're good at it, because you have to find your niche. If you've got somebody who doesn't have that sense of fashion, they're not going to sell it. And another thing that why businesses fail is because if, for example, she were to go and set up a shop somewhere, there's all these shops on the road, she's going to have to pay rent and the costs associated with that. Yeah. And so before she sells a thing, she's already got costs. So if you can find a business that's not actually going to get you into, there's another guy I know. He was good in. He's good in, like, it was sort of IT websites, blah blah blah. I don't know all the stuff that he does, but he was quite good at it. And he went on one of these work websites, WeWork or something, and he's done very well on it. I mean, he's in the thousands of dollars a month now that he
that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. But so there are these sort of opportunities. Another one I want to talk about, by the way, is coffee. Coffee is an export crop where the prices at the minute are very good, and I believe the prices will stay good. It's not one of these will go up and then hit the bottom again. And I'm a coffee farmer, So I export a lot of coffee. But I see if people, the principle that you have your job, and while you have your job, you could invest in something else. I love that principle. Because if you take coffee, it's going to, let's say, Canary, you have some land somewhere, but you're a broadcaster, but you have family members down there, or you have someone who can do some for you, and you buy some seedlings, you clear some land, you put in coffee. You educate yourself a bit about the right type of coffee to put in, the kind of land you've got, and so on. And you have somebody reliable where he's not going to steal your coffee. And you start investing in that. It'll take at least 5 years. You're not going to do anything. You'll just be investing for at least 5 years. But if you think of, say somebody who starts doing that, say at your age, when you're young, or your age when you're even younger, and then when they retire, they've been doing this for 20 years. They'll then have a substantial holding of coffee, which is actually bringing them money. Yeah. So when they stop working, they have it there.
All right. Maybe to add on to that, I think the key thing here is, you just can't get up and start a business. You need some help. And we have a program, the High Innovator Program at the fund,
you do?
where we actually take people through. If you want to start a business, you enroll and learn how to run a business. And there's that statistic where they say so many businesses, is it 90% or 60% actually don't see their first birthday?
90% plus.
Yeah, 90 plus percent. Don't see the first birthday because someone just got up, probably they saw someone doing coffee, and then they said, I can do this. But when you're starting a business, go through the procedure. I had again another opportunity of speaking with a very seasoned businessman in this country. He's a foreigner. I just so happened to sit next to him during an event. And he actually has spent, he's trying to start up a new business, but he spent 8 months doing research around that business, reading into it. You see. So 1, get help. 2, acquaint yourself with the information about that business.
And the skills.
And then start out, ask yourself, what can I do? And then persevere. Persist, be patient. Dr. Ian talks about breaking even in 10 years. Is it 9 or 10 for your coffee project?
For me, it's been 9 years.
9 years.
It's a very long.
9. Which
9.
Is investing every
in
year.
coffee.
It's a big farm,
But most of us are very impatient. You start out today, and then 2 months down the road, you're like, this thing is not profitable. I can't do it. You see. So you really need to be very patient.
Okay. Emmanuel Okui here says, I got employed by a company, and that's when I decided to join NSSF. But I feel like my NSSF deduction is, which is 45,000 shillings monthly, is very little because of my salary, which is very small. My question is it possible that if I can increase my NSSF privately without affecting my salary, take for example, can get 20,000 shillings outside my company salary from other businesses to add on my NSSF? Is it possible? If so, how can I do it?
Yes, actually that is very possible. I'm very motivated by his question. That gives me an opportunity also to advertise officially.
I think you had him set up.
So there are 2 options that he can actually go for. The first option is for him to top up to his mandatory. He can do a voluntary top up to the mandatory. You just go online and then you select top up to your mandatory. However, when you top up to your mandatory, you'll not be in position to access that money until you qualify within the existing provisions in the NSSF Act. That is the age benefit when you're 55, withdraw when you're 50, midterm when you're 45, or all those other things, exempted employment, or when you actually leave the country. So when you top up to mandatory, then the mandatory rules apply. However, we recently launched a product that was towards the end of last year, Smart Life Flexi. Smart Life Flexi, just like the word says, it's flexible. You actually can contribute on a daily basis, on a weekly, whenever you get the money, and you earn interest on your daily balances. but it is goal-based. You select and say, probably I'm putting this money for 1 year. So you lock it in for 1 year. It's flexible in terms of putting the money, flexible interest, and you can exit after your period. So I would recommend that, you said he's Emmanuel Okwi?
Yes.
Yeah, Emmanuel, please go onto the NSSF app and then choose Smart Life, enroll for the product, thank me later.
And you'll be good to go. So Dennis Julius Mugonde says, can you try to remind us of the stages of claiming for the benefits?
Okay, benefits, the benefits are defined within the Act. We have 6 defined benefits within the NSSF Act. So the first thing is you must qualify. I know some people say, I want to claim for my benefit when they actually don't qualify.
Yeah, just imagine I've run out of work.
Like the 30-year-old you were saying, the guy was saying he wants his...
I want my NSSF money. Yeah.
Yeah, so you actually need to qualify. Either you're 55, again, like we said. If you're 55, it's automatic. If you're 50, you have to be unemployed. If you're 45, you should have contributed 10 years. Or alternatively, you've switched from the private sector to government and you're pensionable. Or you're leaving the country, or probably you're really very sick and not in position to work, or the unfortunate event that you've passed on, then your family takes on your money. So now, if someone qualifies within the 5, of course the 6th, someone isn't there to say they qualify. But when you qualify within the 5 ambits that we've already discussed, it's very simple. You can apply for your benefit online. Just go to the NSSF app again, either mobile or web, and initiate your application. You will actually get a confirmation notifying you that your application has been successful, and we will keep you posted on how we are processing your benefit. Usually we'll tell you maybe your process is whatever, your money has been paid, we'll also let you know.
Usually it takes how long? Cash out?
For some benefits, it takes even 3 days. Because some things are straightforward, like age benefit, midterm. Because, for example, midterm, when you key in, or age benefit, if you qualify, we say you qualify. The age benefits, but there are those that we need to validate. For example,
you already have my
if someone
birth
says
date.
exempted employment, for example,
okay.
Even if we had, we need to get a letter from your new employer, which actually shows that now you have another form of pension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get back to Ian, surely we work so hard to accumulate some funds to start up something, let's say 5 million shillings, but some of us fear taking up risks and we can't narrow out which kind of business to invest in and get some returns. How can you help such a person with such a mindset?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question, because what they find is a lot of people who do get their money and then it's gone within a short period of time. And I think that if you're not sure, if you say you get a lump sum, whether it's 5 million or 100 million, and you're not sure what to do with it, I would say then either keep it in NSSF, which you can do, or put it into a financial instrument that's going to give you a safe return on it. Don't just get an idea, as you said. Stick your money into that, and then 2 years' time you're going, oh, I didn't know this. Let me give you an example on the farming side. When I went into farming, I was brought up on a farm, but I had never done any farming in Uganda. So I was fortunate enough to get a big piece of land with no squatters. And so I said, let me try this, let me try that. My basic aim overall was to actually a sort of proof of concept. They say, and this is where the development side of me comes in, you know, it is said that Uganda is the pearl of Africa. If you throw out a seed, it will grow, you know, all this sort of stuff. And I'm kind of like, let me see if this is true. So it was a sort of proof of concept to see if farming was all that good and if you could get a commercial return. Because what I noticed was, A, all the poor people are in the rural areas, not all of them, but the vast majority. And B, there's very little commercial farming. So why is Uganda supposed to be the pearl of Africa, where it's supposed to be so fertile and everything grows, yet we seem to have all this poverty there? And so when I got the land, which was free of squatters, I sort of scratched my head and I said, okay, let me do long-term. Some people came to me very excited about trees. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, you should plant trees. And so I got all sorts of proposals of people who charged me all kinds of money to plant trees, and I was going to make so much money from these trees. Anyway, so I decided not to employ such people, but to plant some trees, and I planted out almost 500 acres of trees.
Oh, wow.
And which have done quite well. So now we're in I can start harvesting them for timber or for poles and so on.
Oh.
So I said that was my long-term crop. And then I said, let me do short-term crops. And I had already got myself involved in laying hens, and I needed maize for the hens.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'll do some maize, and then I'll have some return on eggs and stuff. And then the medium-term crop I thought was coffee, because in coffee I should begin to have a return in 4 years or something like that. So that was the theory. And meantime, someone said, I said, oh, passion fruit, I'll put in some passion fruit. I was playing around with things. I'll put in some oranges, I'll put in some matoke, literally trying these things out. And so I really learned. And what I learned was this. First of all, there are crops like passion fruit that a lot of them seem to have a virus, and they last for about 2 or 3 years and then die off.
Oh.
But after I did it, and the first 2 years were good, and people said your passion fruit are good. Then they died, and everyone said, "Oh yeah, there's that virus going around." I'm like, well, why did nobody tell me that before I started?
Wow.
Because, so and sometimes you find matoke was the same. When I put the matoke in, it lasted for 3 or 4 years, and then it didn't do very well, and people said, "Yeah, this area doesn't do well with matoke." And I sort of found there's no science. You have like what I would call traditional farming. We used to have some traditional ways of treating diseases in Uganda. I mean, as I say, when I came and I'd done London School of Tropical Medicine, and I advised, that, really scanty malaria. If there's no malaria there, you shouldn't treat, the malaria. Yeah. And I had people telling me, no, but I have masuja, I have malaria, and therefore I need treatment. So even if your microscope says I have no malaria, I know I have malaria, so you give me the treatment. That kind of non-scientific approach is there in farming. Like matoke is a sacred crop. Okay, yeah. Don't mess with the matoke, and and I found the thing that was really more scientific was coffee. So with coffee, I could know how many plants per acre I could plant, what the projected yields would be, how much fertilizer or nutrition.
So everything is scientific and calculated.
Oh, yeah. And so in my farm at the minute, we have blocks of coffee. So whether it's 3 hectares or 6 hectares or 10 hectares or whatever, and we know we have 1,100 trees, or depends on our spacing. Certain number of trees in each hectare, then we know that it needs ringweeded, it'll need slashed, it'll need fertilizer, it'll need pest control, and you can pay all those by the task. And so I know what my inputs are, and then I know what my outputs are, and it works. And in fact, in the time I've been doing coffee, I started selling coffee at $1.60 a kilo. I'm now selling at $5 a kilo. I'm exporting coffee, and I'm doing value addition in the sense that we have a washing plant, so I get very nice quality coffee from my farm. I can go literally farm to cup. Oh, wow. But that is.
You're into value addition as well.
Well, the value addition in the sense that I do the highest quality coffee and I export. So I cut out all these middlemen, and all these traders, and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, so you process your coffee on the farm?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that
Canary.
No.
You can. You do have.
You need to visit the farm.
Yeah.
but if you take someone with coffee, it's scientific. If you were to go into, so as you said, do your research, you go on the net, talk to people. I like talking to people. I love people come to the farm, so they see the farm, they talk to the farm manager, we do farm tours, and people learn about coffee, because I want more people to do it. Yeah. Because here's another thing about it, it's an export crop, and there is really no limit. It's not as if, when you do your dukkha, so somebody's selling plastic jerry cans and whatever, and then you start a shop beside them, you're going to split the, there's a finite market. There's a finite market in the local crops as well, which is why the price fluctuates so much. So coffee's an export crop, and it's not dependent on the local economy. So is cocoa, so is, you mentioned cashew nuts.
Yes.
And So I think you do your research and then you realize that you're going to be investing in this for some time, but you're planning for the future. And, you know, I mentioned seasons earlier.
Yeah.
This is my season for, you know, being able to go out to my farm and enjoy walking around it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not saying this without hassle. Someone said to me, but is farming, you know, is it not very stressful? I said, try running a hospital.
It's even harder.
Yeah.
All right. This is Arnold Ampere says, I and my colleagues, should be my colleagues and I, have made an investment group focusing on real estate.
Yeah.
How best can you advise us to accumulate funds? Because saving the funds fast in this economy of Uganda has taken us a very long time. How do they accumulate these funds?
Yeah, so since they're in real estate, I think what they need to do is to split the money. Part of it can go into money instruments, but part of it can also, they can begin investing into real estate, actually. Because as a circle, you can find within a year, depending on the number of people, you probably have about 10 to 20 million that you have put together, or even more. So you can keep half of that and then begin to buy plots, because at least with 10 million you'll find a plot somewhere. And the beauty of real estate is that that plot will appreciate while you continue putting aside more money, you know, into your circle account. This other money is also appreciating in form of the plot. Yeah, that is one way of doing it. After 2 or 3 years, you sell this plot at 4 or 5 times the price, because it will have appreciated. And you can recoup back this other money, and now you have more money to invest into your real estate. And also, another thing that circles do is just keep the money lying in the circle account, which oftentimes doesn't give a return. So you can also get that money and put it into a high-yielding financial instrument, which is a bond.
So you have to be selective, because
Yeah.
if they're gonna, I mean, if someone says I have 10 million, I'm going to buy some land.
Yeah.
You have to be very selective as to, you know, it's what you buy. That plot,
Yeah.
if you hope it's going to improve in
Appreciate,
price,
yes.
you know, you have to have some discernment about where you're buying and all that kind of
Yeah.
Yes, yes. That is
Location
very,
is
very
important.
true, because, yeah, location is very,
Yeah.
very
You know,
important.
the 3 things.
So in other words, as a
location,
circle,
location.
yeah, as a circle, you just have to make sure that your money is just not lying on the circle account. At least keep some of it there, and then put some of it in financial instruments. Put some of it in low-cost real estate, because at the end of the day, that's how you build your capital base. Yeah.
I think you know, in terms of making the best of opportunities, what does it say that opportunity smiles? Good fortune smiles on those who are prepared.
Yes.
So when you take something like investing in real estate, sometimes it's the opportunity. So if you have the money and someone has to sell, maybe, you know, and so the price is right and the location is right, and you're ready,
Yes.
then that's what that's when you're going to make your best return.
Yes, that is very true.
So, Dr. Clark, how have you prepared for retirement? How do you prepare for retirement?
I am retired.
You're retired.
I'm never going to retire, in the sense that I think that again, we talked about health, you know, health and wealth. I mentioned that life is in seasons, so sometimes you're geared at certain seasons, some seasons of learning and self-improvement, some of building a business, some of social involvement, and that. For me, the worst thing is to, you know, somebody just comes along and then boom, they stop. You know,
Yes.
and that happens a lot, because somebody has the job in the civil service. And there's a friend of mine who's a doctor, and he worked. He was working, and you know, and then he told me one day, oh, I've retired. You know, I've retired. I said, oh, that's nice. What are you doing? He says, I'm going to do some farming. And I said to him, so what size is your farm? And he says, it was like 7 acres or 10 acres, or, you know, it was really, really small. It could have been 20 acres. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to go from a job which was paying, I mean, he was well-paid doctor at that point, and then somehow you're going to retire onto a 20-acre farm, and within 6 months he was back working again, because it's just not practical. If you're going to prepare, if he was going to be a farmer, he would have needed to been planting coffee or developing that before he started. So I think that even in so-called retirement, then I think people need to have prepared for that. For me, I don't look. I'll speak from the points of view of both longevity, health, satisfaction, and all those things. We need to, as human beings, we're built to stay active, and that means an active mind and an active body.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you start those habits when you're young. I'm appalled, and I'm not appalled. I'm just like, I've now accepted it. People in Uganda don't read books. It's like you want to hide something, you put it in a book. And now the young people can scroll and do, and they're worse at reading now. But you know, you learn things through reading. People just read when they're students, just their subject.
Yeah.
You read around it, you become more knowledgeable about things. This is how you become more informed, and you know about businesses that you could possibly start, you know about this, you educate yourself, and that's called lifelong learning.
Yeah.
And if you pair that along with physical exercise, whatever is appropriate, then you will be able to enjoy your later years, your retirement. And if you've prepared before for that season, to me, buying a farm was appropriate to this season of my life. Even if it's a big commercial farm and it has plenty of challenges, I like getting out of Kampala. I like being on the farm. It's very satisfying to see I have a hotel on the farm and you can see all over. And when you see the landscape and you see, and to me it's like painting a picture.
Yeah.
It was bush and now it's a developed farm. So I don't know how you can't put a value on that, just on that sort of satisfaction. So that's my idea of retirement.
This is Brian Kiria says, Barbara, please repeat how you portion out your salary.
Okay, so the way I portion my salary, after the taxman has taken theirs, thankfully NSSF takes 5%, and I'm very sure that one day I'll need that money. And then I take 30% of my salary and forget about it. 30% of everything that is paid to me. That means I'm putting it right away into an account or an investment. And then I live on the 35%. The 35% in terms of like my operational income. If there's, we all have social circles you have to invest in. And then, of course, that also feeds into my short-term goals. Yeah. So this other 30% that I've put away, it's like I didn't even earn it. It's money that I must use in the event I need to invest it into something.
Hold on, but that's if you take your net salary, leave aside the tax.
Yes.
You 5% will automatically go to NSSF. Then you save 30%.
No, I was working with 100%.
Oh, from the
and
time.
then whatever the taxman takes,
that's 30.
Then I remain with let's assume 65%, because if 35% is gone, I have 65%.
Okay.
So half of that is what I usually forget about.
Oh, really?
Half of the 65. I just forget about it.
Right.
I behave like someone who did not earn it. And then I begin to work with this balance. This is what I use to meet my short and medium term goals.
So if someone earns a gross salary of 3 million, they would be planning to live off only 1 million.
If their gross salary is 3 million, then 30% goes to the taxman, that's 900. So they remain with 2.1.
Right.
And then 5%, which is 150,000, comes to NSSF for their retirement saving.
So they're 1950 now?
So now they are now at 1,950,000. So now 1,950,000. Now that is your 65%, which I'm talking about. So half of that, 1 million shillings, have it away and put it somewhere and forget that you earned it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then the 950 that is left is now what you're using for your short and medium term goals.
I wonder how many people
Yeah.
who are earning 3 million shillings
Yes.
have the discipline to live off 1 million.
It is very
It's
possible.
It's
It
very
is
possible, but
possible.
very difficult.
It's very
like
possible.
reflected in the questions, it's very difficult though.
Mm.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
Do you know why it's possible?
Mm.
Because I've seen people do it.
But the thing,
And
yeah.
I have done it myself.
Yeah. No,
No,
majority
you
Ugandans
have,
actually
we
are
know.
around.
And you know why I'm saying it's very possible?
Mm.
Because, first of all, the cost of food.
Yeah.
Do you know, Ian, that a big bunch of matoke,
Yeah.
you know, because we are very blessed in this country,
Mm.
a big bunch of matoke
Mm.
goes for 20 to 30,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Mm.
matoke is a staple food here.
Mm.
A kilo of posho goes for about 3,000 shillings.
Mm.
A kilo of sugar is 5,000.
Mm.
And then, if you want vegetables, eggplants, 1,000.
Yeah.
Tomatoes.
So you're saying
So
the cost
when
of
you
food
try
is not
to,
expensive.
when you plan a
Mm.
kilogram of fish, 11,000,
Mm.
200.
So you're saying local foods are not expensive.
They are not expensive. So when you budget, you can actually plan your meals in such a way
Mm.
that you're eating healthy food
Mm.
and it's also affordable.
Mm.
Because food is one of those biggest expenses.
But what about rent?
But if you begin, rent is also affordable depending on where you're staying.
It depends where you're saying, because if you take
Depends on where you're staying.
someone who's going to pay the rent, the 1 million shillings, they're going to buy their food, pay transport if they have it, and rent their apartment. The rent's going to be 500, going to be half of that.
Okay.
Mhm.
If you paid rent, if you're earning 950,
Mm.
if that is what now you're telling yourself that that's your
Mm.
salary,
Mm.
assuming that you're looking for maybe 2-bedroomed house,
Mm.
yeah.
If you're
You
earning
wouldn't-
950, I don't know why would you be staying in a 2-bedroom house and
You wouldn't.
Maybe
You
one-
Staying with
wouldn't
your
stay in the
parents or
town center.
maybe a studio apartment.
You wouldn't stay in the town center.
300,000.
The
would-
problem
you
is you
would
can get
look
an
for-
apartment at 300,000, but then you have a lot of transport costs.
Yeah.
You have a lot of
Yeah.
transport
I
costs.
see that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
not easy. Like
No,
even
it's
somebody
not.
who's got 3 million gross, and then they're living on 950 or whatever. When they do the sums, yes, you're right. The local food can be relatively inexpensive, but when they put in rent and transport, and
It's
then
not easy, and it sounds hypothetical,
yeah.
but
It's going to be possible, but under very difficult circumstances.
yeah, because remember the topic that we are talking about, the topic that we are addressing today, is sacrifice now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we never start from a place where we have a lot. Some people are lucky; maybe they start from a place of plenty and then put away some. But most people that you talk to, like, it's not that they started from a place where they were earning a lot, but with the little that they had, you know. Because you see, you can't wait to be rich to get a house.
Yeah.
You can get a house that works for you. We had a program, Friends with Benefits, and one of the people that we were really very impressed with got 3 million shillings and built a school.
The 3 million shillings.
A school. Guess what they did? They burnt the bricks themselves and they were up country somewhere. And that money, they were able to use it to buy iron sheets
Yeah.
and roof, basic classroom block. And they were now teaching. Another person got 5 million and began a cocoa business because he was already in the cocoa business within the government programs. He was one of those people helping, you know, with the nursery beds and things like that. So when he got his money, he was then able to invest. So it's all about the mindset that we are trying to work with, that you can start with the little that you have. Yeah? It doesn't mean that you have to wait to have a lot and then to save that. If the percentages are maybe not working, if the 30% isn't working, I mean the 50% of what you're remaining with, if it's not working, at least you can put aside something.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with the principle. I agree with the principle.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about businesses now in terms of, you know, this whole question of people wanted to say, well, how can I supplement my income, or how can I build something for the long term? And I think you have to look at, I mentioned the girl who was good in fashion.
Yes.
You know, it seemed to be a gift or something that she has. But, you know, if I'm a doctor and I'm working in a government job or in a hospital or something like that, then it would be natural for me to use my professional qualifications to actually get some extra income. If I'm an accountant, the same thing. You know, if I'm doing IT, the same thing. So there's certain, you know, it's not as if you're, you know, you should have a profession and then you look for something you know nothing about. It's more natural for you to build a business around the skills that you've got. You're a broadcaster. I'm sure you get asked also to do MCing at events and all this kind of thing, you know. That's a sort of that's as well as your job. So you have a business that you're building there, and I've seen quite a bit of that. So I think if people have that, you know, they look and say, I used to say when I started my business, I started just as with a clinic in Kampala, and I was the product, if you like. It was a service. But I was the one, you know, like if people didn't like my medical services, I was the one providing them. If I wasn't there, they couldn't come. My business nearly collapsed at one point because about a few years into it, not very long into it, I got cancer again. I'd had cancer before and I got it again. And I had to go off for about 6 months to stay alive, to get treatment and to come back again. And the whole business just, you know, it really, I mean, there was somebody else there, but it was Ian Clark that they were coming to see. And I've always said, you know, if you're selling a service, like say you're I don't know, some professional, then you build it around yourself. And if you're not there, like doctors would do this thing where they start a clinic and then they have to go to a conference, so off they go and they're sort of, you know, or they come late for their patients, you know. So it all, you know, there's certain basic fundamental principles that you use to build up businesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. For those of us, anonymous attendee, for those of us approaching retirement, what are the options? Because we are past early planning.
You passed early planning.
They now want to.
Yeah.
They're approaching retirement. What are the options?
Well, there are a lot of people. I mentioned, you know, professionals, and it's already done a lot in Uganda. People going into consultancy. You know, so you get somebody who retires from the Ministry of Health. The person has wide experience, and they'll get some consultancies from some of the aid agencies and stuff like that, or they're a financial. You know, literacy person or whatever. So there are those things, people are already doing them, and there are those things that exist. But I don't know. I think if somebody's coming up to retirement, then they have some money and they're not sure what to do, then put it in an instrument that will compound and will give them, you know, a return on that until they decide what they're going to do, and then they'll have to do the research into it. If they say, I'm going to buy some property and, you know, and build houses, they need to know where's the demand. You know, there's no point, like at the minute, people putting up apartments for rent, I'm like, it's a mug scheme, because there's so much of this going up, unless you're so dear and you can put up.
But there's market for it.
Yeah, no, there's a market for it,
There's
but when you do
demand.
the return on investment, when somebody's paying, you put up your little masonettes or whatever, and somebody's paying 300,000 for that, you know, and you're forth, and you know, like if you calculate what you put in and then what return you would need to get for what you. What I'm saying is this: if you're going to put your 100 million into building some masonettes or some apartments, and you work out what rent you can get for those, and then you see if that yearly and monthly, and don't forget, you know, you're going to be paying rental tax on that, quite substantial, and it's all capped by the URA. You've got to work out, is that going to be a better return than the money I can get from a government bond? Because if you're getting something like 15 or 16% from a government bond, and you're going to take a year, say, to build your thing, and then they're going to be 70% occupied, and you're going to pay all this money. You must do those sums first, because I know people have put up hostels. I have a good friend of mine put up a big hostel, and what does he make out of it? Nothing. Really nothing when it comes to it. Because hostels are really, really finely tuned. You must, you know, if, you know, you don't give the people electricity, they wreck the place, you know, they're only there a certain time. So hostels are finely balanced. They're not something when I go into it. The people, you can make money on these rentals
Yeah.
if you've got a nice place that you can charge dollars on, and you can get $500, you know,
Yeah.
$1,000, $300. Because when you consider, even if you get a rental and you're renting it at what, 2 million?
Yeah.
2 million is how much? It's
It's about $600. Yeah.
$600. It's decent, but you know, it's not always rented out. It's just, it really honestly doesn't make a lot of money.
Okay. Emmanuel Francis Olwa says, hi, Canary, can all the guests tell us something about investing in treasury bonds?
Please.
Okay. Okay, so treasury bonds are issued by the central bank, and every 2 weeks there's an auction. So what someone needs to do is to go to the nearest their commercial bank and then open an SCD account. Basically, it's your securities depository account. So you open that account and instruct the person in treasury in that specific bank, because most banks are primary dealers. So assuming you've opened that account at whichever bank, maybe I personally use Centenary Bank. So you talk to the treasury people and tell them, I want to take part in this auction. So you instruct them, you fill out an instruction, how much money you want to take part in, to use for that auction. And when it happens, they'll let you know if you're successful or not. They'll place, of course, the money, the assumption is that you already have a bank account with that bank. So that when you earn the interest from the bond, it is credited back onto your bank account. And usually interest is credited twice. So for any bond above 10 years, the withholding tax is 10%. Any bond below that, it's 14%. And you could also take part in treasury instruments, which the treasury bills, which like less than 1 year. If you have little sums of money, what I would encourage someone to do is you can put it somewhere so that it builds up, you know. And then when it's accumulative, because sometimes you might not realize a rate of like 17%, you know,
Right.
you come with 100,000. But if you can save 100,000 on a monthly basis, so that you have at least 1.2 million, and then you use that at the end of 1 year to place it in a bond, so that you at least realize something, you know. So that is really what it is
There are
about.
these other organizations like Britam and UAP and stuff like that,
Yeah.
where you can actually, they have unit trusts and they have
Yes.
funds. And
Yeah, you
it's
can.
probably not as high as the treasury bills, but
Yeah.
the highest return would be on treasury bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, unit trusts are also going for about 10 to 11%. You can put in your money, and I think what you do is open the account with the unit trust, and then you have to still go to the bank and transfer your money to the unit trust.
Wow, it's,
Yeah.
it's been an interesting class. What I've learned is, I think, no matter how much you're earning, I think you need to put aside some money. No matter the fraction, no matter the portion, I think the key thing here is the discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir,
So,
Headmaster,
Kanari,
sir.
how are you preparing for retirement?
Oh, well, that's interesting. First, I'm serving with NSSF. I know my money is there.
Okay.
Sometimes even when they send me notifications that my money has just been saved,
Yeah.
I don't want to open the account to see how much money. I just want to leave it there
Yeah.
as a fallback position. But also into farming.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. You know, every year that goes by, I need to at least expand my farm.
What are you farming?
Well, I'm into cattle and goat rearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm
good.
trying to breed the goats actually, bring in some savannah breeds and yeah, so improving the breeds from the local ones to the
Okay.
high yielding ones, and then the cattle itself. I about 7 years ago went into farming ginger.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That did not go so well because I would spend.
And everyone says ginger has a very high return.
Yeah.
Nothing about ginger, but I definitely would say coffee is good. One of the things I
Also
want
lost
to do.
money in farming.
One of the things, by the way, we should partner with NSSF in this.
Yeah.
I want to train farm managers for people who've got
Yeah.
50 acres
Yeah.
or
Whoa.
whatever. Yeah.
Wow. That's
So we
a
train
good
them.
one.
We can do it a combination with my university, with the farm itself, where
Wow.
the real training could happen, But
That's a good one.
Yeah, you guys,
That's a
we
good
can
one.
talk
Yeah.
about that.
For example, I was advised if I
Because there's a
needed,
great
should.
need for it. There's a great need for it.
I was advised if I needed a good farm manager for the goats, I needed a veterinary doctor, as opposed to having a manager who is a manager and then getting a veterinary doctor
To
on the
visit
side.
once in a while.
Yeah, so just get a veterinary doctor who is, even if they're on certificate level, I think they know the basics.
Yeah.
So I think that would be, I think, a good thing to do to train.
Yes.
farm
No, I
managers.
think we did. You know, you need to train first. The first thing you need to do is train the people in sort of simple bookkeeping and then integrity. So that you actually show them that you can't actually steal all the produce and be managing the farm. You know, that's
Or you just get a person of integrity and then train.
well,
Can you teach someone to be a person of integrity?
Integrity. You can train in integrity if you explain to the person, you know, that look, your farm's not going to be successful. You won't be successful if you're stealing the produce. And then the very first thing that we need and that we're going to put the systems in to check on is that you're not thieving. And you emphasize that stuff. People can change, but when you just put your relative on there and the relative just keeps selling your bags of coffee and putting the money in his pocket or whatever, your farm will never make any money. You know, so we have to get the integrity part, and you say that's ideal, but it's just, you know, there's cultures, and we've got to create a new culture, and so that's what I would aim to do. Like people said, well, is your coffee not all being stolen? I said, no, it's not. Because we have guys there, and when we catch them, we take them to the police. But at first, yes, people just thought it was a free-for-all. But once they said there's a system, then...
Thanks, Dr. Ian Clark. Thanks to you, Barbara, Remy.
One thing, don't forget to align your goals with NSSF Smart Life Flexi account. It's a goal-based account. You can actually just go to the app or to the website, open that account, start saving. You can save, you can send money there using mobile, MTN or Airtel. You can go to any Stanbic bank, deposit money onto your Smart Life account, and we'll give you a return on every month, actually, the first day of the next month, but on your daily balances. Canary, I really need to follow you up on that account because you didn't mention it as part of your goal, you know, short-term goals.
I've been studying it, but now encouraging me. I'm going to open it up on Monday.
Sure.
First thing.
Monday is too far.
You work on the weekend?
You only need 5,000 to open it.
I can open it on my mobile?
Yeah, you can open it on your
really?
mobile.
Without me moving to the NSSF
You don't
office?
need to come to NSSF.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do it this afternoon then.
Yeah, right away.
Sir, Headmaster, sir, I want to know your key takeaways for this particular conversation. I've just said mine, and I want to hear from you.
Thank you, Canary. Thank you. You have been an amazing host. You make me look good. I have actually been taking a few notes myself. I've been following the chats here. I have quite a number of participants who went into coma at the time Barbara said 5 million as starting salary. But I hope they can get up. And there was also quite a lot of anger about employment, people saying they are not employed. But let me join you and just give you my 5 takeaways. But before I do that, I just need to note to people that, and all our viewers there that are going in, that no one is actually coming for you to help you. People will come to you when you are doing something. So you have done an amazing job, Canary, but I didn't hear you say, Sir Headmaster. So please say it.
Sir Headmaster.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. And we've had quite a mouthful of SMSs and messages. There are quite specific things about NSSF related questions, and we shall try to answer those as we go on. We missed out some bits on when the videos were skipping. We're trying new technology, but we are uploading this on the NSSF website. But my key takeaways, I want to say thank you, Canary. Thank you, Barbara, for asking him about his retirement planning. And no one ever asks me about that because we are the people who keep telling people retire early, do this, and no one ever asks us. But one thing I want to tell people is when Barbara, when Ian, when Canary come here and tell you about picturing that retirement, they're telling you picture, start activating, because once you have a picture of what your retirement is going to look like, what your next week is going to look like, what your next year is going to look like, you will start planning as such. This day we have been hosted by the Solana village, and it's always a privilege that when my class is hosted in a certain area, I always ask the LC chairperson, to just say a little bit about Solana, where we are right now here. I've been moving around and I can picture myself living here. Not in the next 10 years, but after the 10 years, because then I will be able to afford. However, let her tell us something about this. Janet, welcome. This is the NSSF School of Money. We are talking about money. We've been discussing money in all different ways. Then I will give you my takeaways, and then I also give you homework. There's homework. Okay. There's homework, yes. Yes, Janet.
Thank you so much, Apollo. Long overdue being invited to this school. It has been interesting listening to you guys speak. My name is Janet Mugume. We might be related, who knows? No, but I'm the manager real estate sales at NSSF, and welcome. I've never been described as a LC chairperson, but I'll take it. You're sitting, we are honored that you're sitting in our project. This is Solana Lifestyle and Residences. I like to call it a visionary real estate development by NSSF. I'm sure the viewers have seen the videos that we have of it, but it is designed to be, this secure community living, and in the long-term future, a satellite city. We're currently sitting in phase 1 of it, which is just the residential side of it. It's a master planned community. You'll notice we have 6 gated communities here. 3 of the gated communities are apartments. We have 1 of bungalows, which we're sitting in, and then we have villas and townhouses. All this information is readily available on the NSSF website or our Solana Lifestyle and Residences website, also accessible through our NSSF site. We are strategically located in Lubowa. If you're in Uganda, you know Lubowa now as it's an established neighborhood with accessibility both into the city center and to the airport and other business hubs. I've talked to you about the diverse housing options that we have. All of these gated communities have clubhouses. If you get a minute after this, I'd love to show you around.
No, we are going swimming after.
Amazing. We have pools in all.
Didn't tell me to carry my swimming costume.
In all the 6 gated communities.
We'll get your solution.
And phase 1 is residential, but we envision the next phase to be more pushing our live, work, play lifestyle. So we'll be going into green parks. We'll be trying to put up some lifestyle, recreational facilities. So this is the beginning of a lot more to come. We also believe that whether you're just someone looking for a home for yourselves or you're looking to invest, this is a great location to consider. At the moment, we have a New Year's sale going, which we implore you to come by and have a look at, with prices as low as $139,000 US. I could go into the number of detail of housing types that we have.
I know there's some people getting into commas, but let them picture. Let them picture.
Yeah, it is really well priced, and we do believe that our payment terms are better than anyone else on the market. We don't charge you an interest. We give you 2 years to give us the bulk of your money, but you have up to 5 years. We have a team of dedicated sales staff that is here on the site, at the office. I'm always there, happy to take you guys through all of this. And I just want to implore you all to come. I'm sure the video has run, the proof is in the pudding. Coming here and looking at it for yourself, I think, will be what pushes you over the edge. And I do believe it's all these savings and financial literacy you're learning. For some people, the goal is home ownership, so why not, come and own with us? Yeah.
Thank you, Janet. And I always tell people that you need to picture yourself somewhere. It took me a while to buy a car, but during the 3-4 years when I didn't have a car, I had a motorcycle. And one of my pastimes was on a Saturday, go to the bond, talk to the Muidi, have a soda, then they tell you a price of a car, and then you call all your ancestors. You really can't picture yourself. But when the time came, I actually, a few years that I can walk into a bond and go out with a car. But it all starts with you building that muscle and building the ability to know. Then backed up by the behavior, the knowledge. What you are doing here is getting knowledge, then you have to get into the behavior. You have to have a positive attitude. Then the money is a consequence. Money is a consequence, and that's one of my key takeaways. I highlight about it 3 others. Your job is a business. So if your job is a business, how much are you putting in the capital? I mean, people, yes, I have a job, but they never invest in themselves. Everyone, the first salary, they want to start a side hustle. No one ever invests in themselves. Today, Barbara, you have highlighted that your job is a business, and when I go back, I'm going to be telling one of the EXCO members that this business needs some capital injection, I will definitely also tell them. I'll tell them what I'm doing about my my own bit. Money is a tool. Dr. Ian Clark talked about money being a tool. I mean, most of the times when we have these conversations, people want us to start talking about the money,
Yeah.
and they forget about the habits, the attitudes, the knowledge. Money is just a tool, and when you have the right thing of that, someone will actually come and bring you the money. Money is attracted, it is not looked for. It's only thieves that look for money. The rest of it, and the rest of the people are supposed to make money. Health is a habit in the wealth journey. If you are to enjoy your money, you need to invest in the health. Because probably your good money is coming at the age when you are a bit old. But if you are healthy, you will enjoy it. I enjoyed having time at Dr. Ian Clark's farm. He made us move 1,000 hectares of land.
Oh, wow.
He was moving ahead of us. I was with my boss. My boss kept getting hiccups and sitting on the rock, but he was going ahead of us. I mean, he was enjoying, and he just planted some trees just to have a nature walk. And in my head, I was saying, can I even go through these trees? But health, and it's something I'm picking up. I need to do something about health. The aspect of time. Understand that money takes time to make. Also give it time to spend. I mean, you have taken 30 days to make the money. Why are you taking 2 days to finish it? I mean, give it time. Money does not grow on trees, but money grows on time.
Yeah.
And it's personal. Ladies and gentlemen, I was reading in the book where people were generalizing and saying, but we don't have this, but we don't have this. Who are we? It is you. Start personalizing this money problem. If you have no school fees, it is you. If you have no employment, it is you. Everyone else may not be in the same boat. So when you start individualizing this, then you will get an individual solution. Don't wait for the government. So my call here is work on your attitude, work on your knowledge, work on your habits. Money is going to be a consequence. Time for homework, and thank you so much, Canary. Thank you so much, Barbara. I enjoy calling her Barbara because back at in office she's boss. I call her Miss Arime, but today I'm calling her Barbara because she's Barbara. Could you please say Sir Headmaster?
Sir Headmaster.
Oh God.
We shall continue with this vibes, in office.
After this, I'll be back in the but my homework is, and it was mentioned earlier, give people that homework. What is that one thing, one podcast, one article, one billboard, one book, one video you want them to read, that, or you want them to experience for the sake of making their lives better? And I will start with Barbara, and I will end with Janet. I now have ambushed her, but including Canary. You are the moderator, but now this is Sir Headmaster.
Yeah,
Sir. Yes,
thank you
please.
so much. Actually, I really am an ardent follower of John Maxwell. So I'll recommend his Laws of Leadership.
Laws of Leadership.
Yes.
Okay, you heard it.
Yeah,
Let me
I think
go
a book that is trending at the minute is Atomic Habits, and
Atomic
it's my grandchild is reading it at the minute. But it's just the idea that if you do small things, and that's why I say if you start something when you're young, it builds. This morning I got up at, I was on the farm yesterday. I drove back 300 kilometers. I was busy all day yesterday. I went to bed really tired. But I got up this morning and went for a run, not too early, about 6:30, 6:15 or something like that. And the only reason I can do that is I've built the habit, And so I think that if people can build the habits, I think you rightly said, everybody focuses on the money. But it's about the knowledge, it's about the habits, it's about the lifestyle, about many other things. So Atomic Habits, I recommend that book. Yeah.
Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits, you heard it. Canary?
I would say discipline. Don't look at the amount of money you are earning right now. The fact that you're able to put aside some money for investment or to multiply that money, and you do it regularly without excuses, that's the discipline that you need.
And the book?
And the book.
The book?
The book.
We sense that Canary is not a reader, so some of the homework is coming to Canaries.
No, I really read political stuff, not financial stuff.
Okay. Give us that.
I'm going to follow Atomic Habits.
Thank you. And finally, Janet.
Mine is called the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. She's kind of trending these days, but hers is really a simple and effective way to combat procrastination and really just self-doubt and just getting to it. It's 5 steps, and she talks you through how to just count down and get it done. And I think it's a good one. People procrastinate about saving or planning for their futures, and it's really just small changes that you can make in 5 seconds.
I've been procrastinating about this Solana. Now I'm going to.
You should.
Amazing.
Good.
And I can tell you that it's a privilege to start. Most of us have things in their head, but those who have started are in a privileged view. This thing happening, what is happening right now, we just had to start. And along the way, you have to fail. Failing is part of progress. I need people to understand that. If you are not failing, you are not doing anything. If you don't have money problems, most probably you don't have money. Because you can't have marital problems if you're not married. The only reason you're not having money problems, and the only reason you're not failing is there is nothing to fail about. So I align with you, and I wish to our viewers to go with this, that when you start progressing, there will be a lot of problems, but start. The best thing you can give yourself to get into a privileged position is to start. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a delight to have this. I feel honored that these guys make me look good. For all the viewers out there, whatever they do goes down to my salary. So my business is actually working. Thank you so much for making my business work. And as I keep emphasizing, yes, I'm paid to do this. And the only thing, you dedicate time and you pick lessons from here. If you go to talk about them, no one will pay you. I'm the only one privileged to. Just act upon 1, 2, 3 things, and when you act, you get paid. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much, the back office team. Thank you so much, Solana, the property team, for hosting us. The next one we shall have in the villa. We're enjoying this environment. We thank you so much, the Fenon team, for doing this. From NSSF and the financial literacy team, thank you so much, and we'll catch you next month. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
As the sun rises across Uganda, a new dawn in luxury living awakens. Solana Lifestyle and Residences is Uganda's newest, most prestigious and award-winning lifestyle destination, an address for those who dream differently. At Solana, you're close enough to the hustle of the city, but far enough to come home to a sanctuary of smart living. Join a community of like-minded individuals where everything is taken care of and safety and security come standard, where each community has a clubhouse, play area, pool, and other incredible features. Let an oasis of calm greet you at the end of each day with manicured gardens, pathways, parks, bicycle tracks, and so much